Lyra Above the Clouds and the Happy Locket. In a treetop village where homes nestled in leaves and bridges swayed gently in the breeze, lived a young girl named Lyra, with her short, curly golden hair that bounced as she laughed and sapphire blue eyes that held a universe of wonder. Lyra was no ordinary child. She was 7, and her world was one of climbing frames and secret hideouts high above the ground. The village, a marvel of wooden platforms and leafy canopies, thrived with laughter and the sound of little feet scurrying across bridges. Yet, despite the joy that filled her days, Lyra harbored a secret that sat like a small stone in her shoe, a fear of heights. It was a strange thing indeed, for a girl who lived among the clouds. But there it was, making her heart flutter like a trapped bird whenever she looked down from her lofty home. Jack, her dearest friend with chestnut hair that never seemed to sit still and hazel eyes that sparkled with fun, knew of her silent struggle. "Lyra," he'd say, his voice as soft as the wind through the leaves, "there are others just like you, who feel the earth sway beneath them up high. You're not alone." His words were like the gentle plucking of a small guitar, trying to loosen the tight feelings of her worry. "I wish I could be free of this fear," Lyra thought to herself, her inner voice as quiet as a whisper. Jack would often recount tales of children who had faced their fears, each story a picture made of bravery and big smiles. "There was once a boy who feared the dark," he told her, "but he learned to see it as a blanket of stars, keeping him snug in dreams." Lyra longed to swing from the highest branches, to feel the thrill of being up high without the grip of fear. The thought of missing out on the sky-high fun made her heart ache with a sadness too heavy for her small body. Somewhere deep within, Lyra felt a pull, a feeling that the answer to conquering her fear was within reach. "I can almost see it, the way to be brave. It's there, just beyond my fingers," she thought, hope flickering like a small light in the dark. One sunny afternoon, Lyra and Jack were playing hide and seek among the roots of the great trees when something shiny caught her eye in the soft earth. Hidden beneath a blanket of moss was a locket, star-shaped and whispering secrets of silver and sapphire. As Lyra opened it up, a quiet voice emerged, speaking of a search for the legendary Soaring Stone hidden in the sky-high forest. The locket held another secret, one that told of a shadow that would fall upon their world if the stone remained hidden. Jack, with his sharp eyes, worked out the puzzle. "The stone's light keeps the shadows away," he read aloud, his voice calm and certain. Lyra's heart danced at the thought of the journey. This adventure, it's more than a search for a stone. It might be my way to fly without fear, she considered, her thoughts a bird testing its wings. The adventure begins. And so, the adventure began. Lyra and Jack set off, their spirits as light as seeds on the wind. They walked through the forest, where the leaves whispered tales from long ago, and the earth buzzed beneath their feet. The world seemed to spread out before them, a picture of green and gold. "How do you think the clouds feel?" Jack asked, his words drifting like soap bubbles. "Soft and fluffy, like candy floss," Lyra replied, laughter bubbling up in her. As they went deeper into the forest, Lyra's thoughts spun around. Can I really do this? Will my fear rise like the ground under my feet? Yet with her doubts, she stepped forward, her determination as strong as the branches that held their village. When they reached a place where the path split, not knowing what to do clouded their way. Which path should they take? Just then, the locket warmed in Lyra's pocket and began to shine, its light showing them to the left. With the locket's help, they continued, each step a part of the music of their adventure. And although Lyra's fear of heights stayed with her, with Jack by her side and the whispers of the locket in her ear, she felt the seeds of bravery growing in her heart. Lyra's leap of bravery. With the locket's warm glow as their guide, Lyra and Jack wandered further into the whispering woods. The trees stood tall and proud, their branches linked together like the hands of old friends. Lyra's heart skipped a beat with each step, the ground rising bit by bit, teasing her fear. As they walked, they found a clearing where a brook sang its own calming tune. "Look, Lyra!" Jack pointed to stones you could step on that crossed the happy water. "A challenge waits for us." "Can I cross without looking down?" Lyra wondered, her inner voice shaking like a leaf in the wind. The stones were slippery with moss, and the water underneath seemed to play tricks with her eyes. But as she saw a dragonfly dance over the water, she felt a bit braver. "I can do this," she said, her voice a quiet echo of her newfound bravery. With each careful step, Lyra felt the locket warming her skin, its whispers like a gentle rub to her jumpy nerves. "You're safe and sound, even up high," it murmured, and Lyra believed it. Jack cheered her on, his voice a steady rhythm. "That's right. One step, then another. You're doing so well." As she got to the other side, Lyra's legs shook, but her spirit lifted. The locket changed, its sapphire center now beating with a soft light. She'd crossed a bridge of doubt and found firm ground on the other side, among the treetop dancers. With the brook behind them, a butterfly with wings that shone like colored glass led them onward. Its flight was easygoing, and they followed it, leaving the safety of the clearing for the unknown path ahead. The second encounter with a challenge was in a grove where the trees moved in a gentle dance. High above, platforms sat between the branches, connected by swinging rope bridges. Lyra's breath stopped at the sight. "It's like our village, but so much higher," she said quietly, her words almost drowned out by the rustling leaves. A wise old owl, with feathers as gray as dusk, watched them from a hole in a tree. "To find the next clue, you must climb to where I am," it said with a hoot, its eyes shining with a dare. Lyra's fear scratched at her, but Jack's hand found hers, giving a soft squeeze. "Remember the brook," he said to cheer her on. "You're braver than you think." Taking a deep breath, Lyra started to climb, the bark rough on her fingers. "I am brave as a superhero on tall buildings," she said, the happy words from the locket now her own. Up she went, higher and higher, till the ground was a far-off memory. At the top, the owl nodded as if to say, "Well done." As they came back down, the locket shined again, now a light of bravery as strong as Lyra's heartbeat. The dance among the stars. After they came down, the forest welcomed them, showing them a space bathed in moonlight. A merry-go-round of clouds spun above, each one a soft horse waiting to be ridden. Without a word, a kind breeze picked them up, up into the soft night sky. The third challenge was a dance among the stars. Lyra felt as light as a feather, her fear far away. "I am as brave as a mountain climber," she said out loud, her voice sure and bold. They jumped from cloud to cloud, the world below a patchwork quilt of dreams. There, in the heart of a cloud, lay a feather as black as the night. It belonged to Talon, the shadow that was a threat to their village. Talon showed, his shape dark against the moon. "Why do you search for the Soaring Stone?" he asked with a voice like a strong wind. Lyra stood firm, her will as strong as a castle. "To keep our village safe, to beat my fear," she replied, looking straight into the bird's golden eyes. Talon flew around them, his wings quiet and powerful. Show your bravery, child of the treetops. Jump and trust that you will fly. Lyra paused, the ground far below, a mix of darkness and light. But the locket's voice was with her, a steady beat in her heart. Heights are just exciting adventures for me, it sang. With a jump born of trust, Lyra leaped, and the air held her like a mum's hug. She really was flying, and laughter came from deep inside. Talon's cry was a sound of success. You've learnt well, he praised, dropping the soaring stone into her open hands. The locket shined, its last change a sign of Lyra's win. It was a simple star-shaped charm, its sapphire reflecting the sky she had come to love, the horizon of hope. As they came back down, a beam of light from the stone cut through the dark, leading them to the last challenge. They found themselves at the end of the land, where the sky met the earth, and the edge was a line of hope. Lyra looked out, her fear just a memory, her heart full of joy. With each climb, I grow braver, she whispered to the wind. The soaring stone glowed, its light chasing away shadows. Their village was safe, and Lyra, once held by fear, was now a brave protector. The clouds moved apart, showing a path lined with flowers shining like pearls in the sunrise. Lyra and Jack followed the way, their story one of change, their hearts as light as the petals that twirled around them. As the village came back into view, Lyra knew she hadn't just found the soaring stone, but had also discovered the strength inside her. The fear of heights was no longer a boss, but a thing of the past, a shadow gone with the light of bravery. Lyra's new day. As morning greeted the treetop village, Lyra and Jack made their way home, their hearts cheerful and feet hardly touching the path covered in leaves. The soaring stone, safe in Lyra's pocket, pulsed with a warm glow, reminding her of the bravery she had found. Guess what, Jack? Lyra giggled, her voice as fresh as the morning air. Why don't stars go to school? Because they already have millions of degrees, Jack laughed, his happy sounds mixing with the chirping of the morning birds. As they arrived, the village was waking up, shining in the golden morning sun. The wooden bridges swayed softly, the leafy homes said hello, and the smell of fresh berries filled the air. Lyra's eyes shined brighter than before, her gaze sweeping over the heights she once was scared of. Look how high we are, and yet my heart is as steady as the sturdy tree trunks, Lyra thought, a grin spreading across her face. The fear that once scared her had disappeared like the stars at daybreak. Life got back to its playful beat, but now Lyra moved through it with a new rhythm. Sometimes, when she climbed to her favorite high spot, a bit of worry would visit her. But she'd simply touch the locket and remind herself, I am safe, and the world is a playground from way up here. One bright afternoon, Lyra found herself at the very top of the tallest tree, a place she'd never dared to climb before. For a second, the old fear whispered, but she silenced it with a laugh. I am brave as a superhero on tall buildings, she sang, her voice reaching across the village. Below, Jack waved, his face full of pride. Look at you, Lyra. You're higher than the birds. And there she stood, her golden curls blowing in the wind, her eyes reflecting the endless sky. New joys opened up before Lyra each day. She and Jack would race to the treetops, their laughter ringing out like tunes. They'd hang from branches, watching the world upside down, and try to spot the most shapes in the clouds. One day, they met a new friend, a young boy named Milo, who shook at the thought of climbing. Lyra knelt by him, her voice soft as a bedtime story. Do you know what I tell myself when I feel a bit shaky? I say, heights are exciting adventures for me, and with each climb, I grow braver. Milo's eyes grew big, hope shining within. Really? Does that help? Lyra nodded, her smile as bright as daytime. Together they started small, climbing the lower branches, and step by step, Milo's confidence grew. As Lyra got older, her dreams flew as high as she did. She thought of herself as an explorer, discovering the skies, or maybe a keeper of the clouds, making sure everyone felt safe to climb. One day, I'll help others find their bravery, just as I found mine, she thought, her heart filled with endless dreams. The village, once a place of limits, now stretched out before her, a painting of possibilities. Lyra knew that whatever road she chose, the sky was not the end, but the start. With the happy whispers in her ear, she was ready to welcome a future as big as the edge of the land.